Welcome to the Roundup, a roundup of one of the busiest ever weeks in gaming news. It's been wild. Bobby has had a pay cut. Microsoft have launched an assault on Steam and Epic, in a way. Starfield is apparently nearly done, and they're going to do something very interesting with it. Riot sent a security employee named after this guy to some developers. EA loot boxes. The Last of Us Part 3, and more. Oh boy, let's get started. By the way, Patreon loot, new month, new stuff. It's all fun. You'll get a glaive pin. Check it out below. And let's go. Bobby Kotick will remain Activision's CEO until at least the end of March 2023. But he's also getting a pay cut because, according to a recent filing, Kotick will voluntarily cut his base salary by 50% to better align with company targets. That's from 1.75 mil to 875k. Also, his max potential bonus will be reduced by 50% from 3.5 mil to 1.75 mil. Now, this bonus will still be performance-based, but it cannot exceed 200% of his newly reduced base salary. On top of that, then, two other separate bonus initiatives were scrapped. And one of them was the infamous $200 million stock option. Now, while Activision's filing, waxes lyrical about, Kotick's stint as CEO, their market cap has risen from 10 million to over 70 billion under his leadership, after all, these are still some fairly sizable cuts, actually. It's huge. He'll hardly be hurting, though. He's a rich dude. But note that aligning his pay with the new company targets is curious. You've got to wonder what has actually prompted this big rethink. Well, I'll tell you what it could be. It could be a response to widespread criticism of his humongous compensation, but it also could be to do with the juicy rumors of Activision's holiday slate looking bare. Because we have been hearing reports that Call of Duty 2021 is in such a sorry state that it may not even release at all. And that Blizzard won't have Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4 done this year. Of course, combine that with World of Warcraft being woefully behind schedule. Yep, Activision's holiday strategy could rest in game updates and then remasters like Diablo 2 Resurrected. And maybe even the rumored Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer and Modern Warfare 3 campaign remasters. Ow. That's a bit weak. And it's 1 year into a new console launch. You'd want to be coming out roaring, wouldn't you? Activision's full earnings call is scheduled for May the 4th, so I guess we'll hear any bad news then. Competition! I love it, and we're all getting more of it, because Microsoft are reducing the cut they get from game sales on the Windows platform. From August 1st, they will receive 12%. A 12% cut compared to the current 30%. What is this? This is a clear attempt to compete with Steam. And also, of course, it matches Epic's famously reduced split. Xbox Game Studios boss Matt Booty hopes that this, as he says, clear, no strings attached revenue share system will convince more developers to sell their games on the Microsoft Marketplace. Look, we'll get into this in a future video, but they still do suffer from similar problems to Epic. The Windows Store is not very good, although the promised overhaul driven by Game Pass perhaps does mean that improvements are, the rate of improvement could be looking a lot faster than Epic's. Now, that aside, they definitely do have an audience in PC. So, Halo Master Chief Collection had 10 million players on PC, many of which were actually entirely new to Halo. This is probably why Infinite was confirmed to have cross-play and cross-progression. They now know it's pretty big in PC, and that is a user base that is using the Microsoft Store for something. So I'll tell you what, this is a good move. The future might actually be looking bright for Microsoft, but right now it's not looking so bad. I mean, the company did report 3.5 billion in revenue was driven by a 34% increase in Xbox content and services and a 232% increase in hardware revenue, of course, following the launch of the X and the S. So that really is good for them. Sony, though, are also having a great time as well. Their financial results celebrate PlayStation's best year ever, as they put it. The PS5 shipped 7.8 million units in the 6 months since launch, The PS4 had 7.6 million in the same time frame. Although it did actually launch in fewer territories, and Sony hope that the PS5 will continue to outpace its predecessor well into the year. And I would imagine that that will happen because it, of course, is so supply constrained. I mean, I've wanted a PS5 for months for Returnal and Ratchet, and good luck getting one, other than a scalper in eBay. Speaking of which, another PS5 exclusive, because the embargo on Returnal has lifted, and it has been received significantly better than the PS5's only other notable exclusive of the year, Destruction All-Stars. And I guess certainly better as well than Godfall, which was a pretty big one they pushed. So yeah, between Returnal hitting the high 80s and seemingly being awesome, and Ratchet & Clank being only 6 weeks away and looking immense, Sony definitely have a lot of system sellers on their hands. So it's going to be big. Right now, Sony are doing incredible. Microsoft is still playing catch up. I really like Microsoft's strategy, but you can't deny the raw numbers that Sony produces. Next then, and speaking of system selling exclusives, it's time for the spice, because rumor has it that Starfield is going to be a full Xbox exclusive that will launch later this year. Now, this is according to insider Rand Althor, who, speaking on the Xbox 2 podcast, said he'd heard information from some, quote, very reliable people. Now, he believes that the game is basically finished and is in the bug squashing phase, so a 2021 release is apparently likely. Now, this would obviously be a massive win for Game Pass, right? To have Starfield and Halo Infinite drop within a few weeks of each other. That would be humongous. But without seeing lots of press from Bethesda, I'll say it could be kind of hard to believe. There's, no way, I think, in the world where, every game is being delayed because of COVID, but that a Bethesda game, of all things, comes out earlier than people expected. So I'm a little bit skeptic. Now, that said, Jez Corden further added to hype with a cryptic tweet appearing to show Xbox's upcoming release slate of Forza, Starfield, Halo Infinite, a new IP, and then something Dragon related. Is it a Dragon Quest? Is it a Dragon Age? Who knows? It's hard to say, but Dragon Age being a timed Xbox exclusive or a day one Game Pass release, well, that certainly would be something. And I guess Microsoft have been throwing money about the place. Now, the tweet also has an ellipse between Halo and the new IP, which many people believe signifies the New Year's break with an other before the dragon. So, who knows? It's almost like reading Pam's or something, because it's all rumory, leaky stuff, right? Now, in other news then, Phil Spencer's shelves have, of course, they're the most important thing in gaming news these days. We're always looking at Phil Spencer's shelves, and they've actually brought back rumors of a partnership with Lucasfilm, because an industry insider mistook one of Phil Spencer's background figurines for Mandalorian, and thus thought it was okay to say a few things. Turns out that Phil Spencer's shelves are the number one source for gaming leaks, even when you misinterpret what's on them. So there's that. Anyway, rumors of this collaboration actually first appeared back in January, and if true, it would mean Microsoft developing a relationship with Lucasfilm similar to what Sony have done with Marvel, kind of financing and supporting license projects, but without actually owning the intellectual property. Either way, I guess Disney would win. Big surprise! EA are dealing with loot box blowback again. A leaked marketing document this week said some very damning things about their overall strategy to monetize FIFA. One that basically is just all about hooking kids and gambling-like behavior because, hey, it's EA. They're a bunch of rotten scumbags when it comes to things like this, when they can get away with it. The main one being that EA apparently want to use the game's non-monetized modes to funnel people into FIFA Ultimate Team. Color me surprised! The aim is reportedly to convert those players into FIFA Ultimate Team diehards that will, of course, unlock all of those great microtransactions so they can start off with an average Ronaldo and then pump so much money into the game that they get a good Ronaldo, or perhaps even a perfect Ronaldo. What a surprise. Ugh. So according to this document, EA believe that FIFA Ultimate Team is the cornerstone of the modern FIFA experience, and that the firm are doing, quote, everything they can to push people towards it. I mean, big whoop, who bloody thought that that wasn't what was going on anyway? I guess it's just that there's leaked documents to back it up. Now, of course, the scumbags themselves, EA, did deny these claims, and they accused the body that shared them of sensationalist reporting. Yes, I'm sure. EA say that the references to converting players refers to the switchover period between FIFA 20 and FIFA 21, and that the plan was simply to leverage the actively updating FIFA Ultimate Team to ease the transition. EA are steadfast in the belief that they do not encourage players to spend money in FIFA Ultimate Team. Which is a bit weird because that is actually how they earn money, and it's almost like all of the bloody game mechanics in FIFA Ultimate Team are designed to do that. So you know what, EA? Go fuck off, you twats. I just hate some of these companies and the way that they do things, and the sheer duplicity. I mean, come on. What a bunch of goddamn lemmings we are to let things like this go on. The more I run this channel, the more you just want to burn certain parts of AAA to the ground for this blatant cash grab scumbaggery. I can barely take it anymore. It actually makes you hate game development. Now the thing is, CBC only leaked 2 pages of a supposedly 50-page marketing document, so I guess we apparently haven't really heard the end of this. And look, even if that whole thing is bullshit and the document isn't true, we still know that EA do this stuff because just look at their actions and look at their game. They are undeniable amoral scumbags. It is as simple as that. Okay, speaking of big corporate companies being a bit scummy, we've got Riot Games who have shut down a League of Legends legacy server in a very odd way. So, Chrono Shift was a fan-made project to recreate the League of Legends experience as it was 10 years ago. Now, it was still in closed beta, and therefore it was not available to the general public. Obviously, Riot were not pleased about this, so they, the team received takedown notices from Riot's legal team, but only after an anonymous Riot employee got in touch via Discord and started being all weird. The project's website was later replaced by a message outlining that Riot's security department had, quote, tried to extort them into handing over their code and website. Now, Riot have since confirmed that this conversation did take place, but they denied the allegations of extortion. According to Discord screenshots, the security dude was named Zed, probably after League of Legends' edgy ninja assassin character, and said things like, "I'm on the security team. I find people and things." Riot will apparently be addressing their tone, so hopefully no more, people pretending to be assassin characters sending threats from the company. Now look, it's obviously not uncommon for fan projects to be shut down. Blizzard shut down WoW vanilla private servers. They shut down the narrative add-on that, I guess, we tried to do. I mean, I understood why. I kind of tried to get away with it. It actually was technically it was actually in line with all of their add-on policies, but, I mean, they reserve some things for when they need them. It just is how it is. Now, of course, after denying all that private server stuff, Blizzard then went and launched Classic to capture the market hunger, whereas Riot said a few years ago that it probably wouldn't be worth the development resources to do something similar with League of Legends. So I guess that's where that story rests for now. Naughty Dog have written a story outline for The Last of Us Part 3, but they aren't actually working on it just yet. So, speaking on the Script Apart podcast, Neil Druckmann said that he hopes the sequel will one day see the light of day. Fair enough. And while he doesn't go into too much detail on this one, Druckmann confirmed that there has been quite a bit of internal discussion about a third installment of The Last of Us. He said that basically the games take so much to make that you really have to be all in on the idea. So you know what, hopefully it is a good idea that they go all in on. Druckmann also did say the Naughty Dog typically does take a long time to explore new ideas, so it will be a while before the studio actually decides what their next project is. Now, this is something that I bring up mostly because it also fits in with Jason Schreier's reporting, which basically said that Naughty Dog didn't have any titles further than pre-production, and that's why, for example, they were doing the remake of The Last of Us Part 1. because apparently the PS4 sort of remaster thing wasn't good enough. Guess they had to do something, and yeah, they'll probably get a bunch of money for doing it anyway. Well, as if there wasn't enough news today, it's time for our quickfire round. So, Yoshiniro Ono is leaving Capcom after almost 30 years. Ono was the de facto face of Street Fighter for years, but from May the 1st, he will be working at Delightworks, which is apparently a little different to what he's used to. So expect some new things. Also in the move then is Brian Wagner, who is swapping EA Sports for Crystal Dynamics in order to work on The Avengers. He worked on Marvel Heroes actually, so hopefully he can turn things around eventually, or at least help do that. Then next up, the colourful dodgeball game Knockout City is actually set to hit Xbox Game Pass and EA Play on release day. And also, something is also rumoured for Battlefield, so there's that. But I'll say this, if things go well for this game, it will be a stark contrast to another EA original, Rocket Arena. You might remember that. The publisher basically sent that thing out to die with a premium price tag. But now something similar has came up again, and they're trying to get it into more players. So perhaps EA are actually learning. Now, sticking with EA, as much as I will obviously blast them for the blatantly immoral things that they do with FIFA Ultimate Team, Respawn Entertainment, on the other hand, are doing great in general. Their players really seem to be happy, Apex seems to be going from strength to strength, and they are now the first game studio to win an Oscar, because they assisted with Colette, a documentary tie-in for Medal of Honor Above and Beyond that actually took home the award for Best Documentary. So that's kind of impressive. Now, in other Respawn news, having matched Warzone and hit the 100 million player milestone last week, Apex Legends looks set to expand beyond Battle Royale with a new permanent 3 vs 3 arena mode next week. Its basically round and by-stage based format is kind of taking on Valorant and CSGO in the process. Because why not? They're Respawn, they're making Apex, and they just do really good. Then, the fantasy action battle royale, Naraka Blade Point, held its open beta this week and actually topped out 120k concurrence on Steam. More than, say, some titles like Valheim and Rust. So, perhaps that's one to keep an eye on. Midnight Club. Remember Midnight Club? Man, I think it was Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition I played in my PS3. No, my PSP. Oh, that was great fun. But Midnight Club LA returned quietly to Xbox this week after being delisted a few years back. So between this and Midnight Club 2 making a brief reappearance on Steam, you have to wonder. Rockstar, come on guys, are you gearing up to tell us something? Speaking of long waits, Castlevania Resurrection, a cancelled Dreamcast project, was actually discovered a few weeks ago. Pretty neat. It was after being lost for over 20 years, and it's actually been shared online so that you can play it. So get your emulators ready. There's a new Castlevania. Awesome. Then, Super Mario Party released 2.5 years ago, but it took until this week for Nintendo to patch in full online multiplayer. All but 10 of the party game's 80 minigames are now playable with your friends online. Would have been nice if that had happened earlier, considering COVID, but hey, it's a vast improvement on the previous rotating selection of 10. So good stuff there. People Can Fly. They announced a few studio acquisitions this week. Yeah. Phosphor Studios is going to become People Can Fly Chicago, while Canada-based Game On are on board following their work on Outriders. So there you go. Outriders has seemingly done real well for them. People Can Fly was valued at $53 million in December, and I've got to imagine their valuation has went up since. And finally, Capcom's Arcade Stadium Collection is headed to Steam with an additional bit of content. One is a $1 piece of DLC that adds an invincibility cheat to those arcade classics. Eternal Life, but $1 away. Bit of a weird one to end today's roundup with, but there we go. And man, what a roundup it was. The team really worked hard in this one. Seriously, cutting this down to actually be a workable single YouTube video was quite the effort because so much went on. So, fun stuff. If you want to support the team, support us in what we're doing, making all this news content for you, you can check out the Patreon. We'll also get some pretty sweet loot. But anyway, that is it for me. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.